It arced across the cloudless sky, like someone throwing chum, but they weren't fishing. No, my friends. The object was a thumb. It launched from Kenneth's dally when his heel and rope came tight and whizzed by Eddie's horse's head and disappeared from sight. Thank you, Madam Chairman, honorable judges, fellow 4-Hers, parents, and guests. The excerpt you just heard was from cowboy poet Baxter Black's poem The Missing Link. And while I love to tell you the rest of the story and what all happened to Kenneth's thumb, you're going to have to look that one up for yourselves, because today I have something else in store for you. Maybe some of you are already familiar with cowboy poetry, but for those of you who aren't, please allow me to enlighten you. Cowboy poets take the everyday realities of farm and ranch life and use their words smith and magic to transform them into entertaining stories that we can listen to. Like most poetry, there's a little bit of something for everyone. There are poems about angry cows, raging bulls, old dogs, good horses, and broken pickups. And of course, it wouldn't be poetry without a little bit of love and relationships. My favorite cowboy poets are Baxter Black and Ben Crane, men with too much time on their hands and a gift for the gab. All those lonely days on the open range apparently leave a man with some time for thinking. And it's a good thing too, because in my opinion, they have created some of the world's best poetry. I've been listening to their poems ever since I was knee-high to a grasshopper. You see, when I was just a wee lad, tagging along with Dad for the day in the old Peterbilt, holding on to my sippy cup, we would listen to cowboy poetry for hours, and on those long drives back home, I would often fall asleep to the expressive voice of Baxter Black, and as a result, my dreams would be filled with the riotous images of life on the range. So, in honor of my cowboy poet heroes, I've decided to try my hand at this gig too. The poem you're about to hear is written by fledgling cowboy poet, yours truly, Grady Stevens, and it is titled, Where There's a Will, There's a Won't. The time was drawing near, boys. About time I got it done. Dad said, go on, get after it. It'll soon be setting sun. I grabbed an apple from the bin and moseyed on my way. Such a sunny afternoon for 4-H taming day. I'd spent some time at Mrs. Long's, looking o'er her last year's crop, 'cause when it comes to the choosing of my steer, it's never too early to shop. Those Blast Angus steers are downright purty. She sure knows how to make 'em grow. They're not all black, though. There's Herefords, too. So she ain't all bad, you know. I ambled toward the 4-H pen and eyed my new prize steer. Woo-wee! He's looking pretty good. Might be my grand champ year. He's freight train long, he's fathoms deep, his back's an acre wide. But best get past the looking, boys. About time I got him tied. He didn't bat an eyelash as I slipped the halter on. Just went on ruminating, like all his worries were gone. I gently nudged him to his feet and watched him stretch afar. Then he took a good long look at me, like who do you think you are? I scratched my head a moment and tried again right quick. But this time, to my surprise, he had no intent to stick. He swung his head and pawed the ground, prepared to start a fight. I stood my ground and held my breath while in his line of sight. I gave a tug and that was it. The final straw was snapped. The beast inside had come alive. And in my pants never mind. And so the rodeo began, him dragging me around the pen. But Wendy's voice went through my head, saying don't let go of him. He kicked my leg. I bit his ear. He spun me around again. I heard some hoots and hollers, so I looked outside the pen. My siblings were cracking up, unsympathetic for my current state. To see me go another round, for that they couldn't wait. but I was darn near played out, and he was panting hard. So with a last ditch burst of strength, I played my final card. I called to Joe to toss the keys. I caught them in the air. What I was just about to do, most wouldn't say was all that fair. But we farm boys in 4-H, we know our way around a steer. I tied him to the tractor. That put his rear in gear. That day I taught him who was boss. He was no longer on the loose. And all that long 4-H year, we held to our begrudging truce. I'd pull the lead, he'd step right up, while giving me stink eye. I'd grit my teeth and smile wide and whisper, "Don't you even try." And when at last our sale day came, we sure made a showy team. Our beginnings were plain out of sight, as if it were a dream. So, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, my own personal attempt at cowboy poetry. Some facts in the story may have been embellished a little bit, but what's a good story without a little bit of hyperbole? I hope today that I've inspired all of you to write some of your own cowboy poetry, or any poetry. But if not, don't worry. In the words of David Carradine, if you cannot be the poet, be the poem.